Senator Klyne.
My question is for the government leader. Senator Gold, from Treaty 4 territory and homeland of the Métis Nation, I'd like to follow up on a recent question from Senator Black. He asked if the government will cap purchase by individual carriers at the upcoming spectrum auction to complement the use it or lose it approach that is referenced in the mandate letter for the Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry. We must remember that spectrum is a public resource and that the needs of Canadians, not corporations, must be met when spectrum is purchased at auction. If an internet service provider buys spectrum but fails to utilize it and instead simply stockpiles or resells that spectrum at a massive profit, that does nothing to provide better and more affordable internet service to Canadians who are being underserved. Many internet service providers have done this time and time again. And the fact that these private companies can make enormous profit on the sale of a subsidized public asset is something that we can no longer tolerate. In some areas of Saskatchewan and across Canada, internet access is woefully inadequate, particularly in rural and remote Indigenous communities. However, the Universal Broadband Fund and innovations like Starlink satellites provide some cause for optimism. Senator Gold, can the government commit to ensuring that any auction spectrum will be used by internet service providers to provide more equitable and cost-effective access to high-speed broadband internet for Canadians who live in underserved markets? Also, will the government ensure that any funding taken from the Universal Broadband Fund will be used to subsidize or upgrade internet and Wi-Fi infrastructure in underserved markets so all Canadians can participate in the new economy at the CRTC standard of 5010 megabytes per second download and upload speed? Senator Gold.
Thank you, Senator, for the question, and as government representative in the Senate, I'm pleased to respond. As colleagues may know, the recent spectrum auctions had the strongest rules to date, requiring companies to use the spectrum in a timely way or lose the spectrum. I'm advised that the government recently consulted on additional measures for making unused spectrum available and will continue to put rules in place so spectrum is used for the social and economic benefit of Canadians. As indicated, the Universal Broadband Fund supports the government's initiative to ensure that 100% of Canadian homes and businesses have access to speeds of at least 50 over 10 megabytes per second by 2030, regardless of where they're located in the country. I'm advised that through this fund, the government has made billions of dollars available for rural and remote internet infrastructure, and an additional $750 million was announced in Budget 2019. Colleagues, the government recognizes the urgency of bridging the digital divide for Canadians and has set aside up to $150 million through a rapid response stream for the fund projects that can be completed during the 2021 build season. 574 applications were received under this particular stream. $50 million for the fund has also been set aside for projects to improve mobile internet for Indigenous peoples. I'm advised that the government will keep Canadians up to date on these investments and the progress that is being made towards connecting all households in the country through online reporting, updated on a quarterly basis.